The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Guy Harvey Clothing by AFTCO. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers. Everything for your outdoor adventures. Croquis, made in the USA. Drummond Community Bank. Costa. See what's out there. And Lumber Rock.
It's got the punch of a heavyweight and the pounds of a lightweight. Welcome to the main event featuring the new Yamaha 4-stroke F70. Tipping the scales at up to 142 pounds lighter than its 4-stroke competitors. That's a class-leading power-to-weight ratio. A haymaker of a whole shot. Surprising mid-range punch. Incredible fuel economy. And industry-leading innovation, performance, and reliability. The Yamaha 4-stroke F70. Reliability starts here.
At highway speeds, things can get pretty windy. That's why the Chevrolet Cruze Eco has active aero grille shutters that close at higher speeds to improve aerodynamics. With an EPA estimated 42 miles per gallon highway, the Chevrolet Cruze Eco offers the best highway fuel economy of any gas engine in America. Always thinking of ways to give you more, while using less. That's American ingenuity to find new roads.
What is CCA? CCA has been representing recreational fishermen for over 25 years, and when your rights to fish are threatened, the CCA is there to make sure government regulators are making sound decisions. I'm a life member of CCA, and when fishery decisions are being made, the CCA in the room is fighting for our recreational rights. We need to give our kids the same opportunities to fish as we did. Do what I did. Go to ccaflorida.org and join for only $25 so you can protect your recreational angling rights.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
We want to remind you that the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is taking the show on the road. We will be doing our annual Take a Kid Fishing Show from the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame and Museum in Dania Beach on June 19th. Cool stuff.
That's going to be a lot of fun, Lauren. We go there every year, and I got to tell you, seeing all those little kids excited about fishing, man, it gets me so fired up. The kids will be able to go in the simulator room where they can actually fight a fish. They've got also some touch tanks. They learn about the Rapala world records. There's been more, world records caught on Rapalas as far as the lure department than any. They can also see this big, giant blue marlin or black marlin. It's just the funnest time. I wish you would be able to go with us, but somebody's got to be in the studio to drive the bus.
That is true. I think really you're just excited to be in a group of folks as hyper as you are.
No, now
fishing,
that,
the 10-year-olds.
Now that you call me a chum bag, I'm just excited to have a week off away from you.
All right. In that case, it's time to pay a visit to Captain Mike Holliday in the East. Mike, it seems that snapper fishing really varies in different areas of your region. Is that true?
It really does, Lauren. The mangrove snapper are a predominant species in St. Lucie County. There's mangrove and mutton snapper in Martin County, and mutton and yellowtail in Palm Beach County. And you'll find all three species around structure in anywhere from 20 to 110 feet of water. Off St. Lucie County, there's the Halsey and Amazon wrecks, along with reef lines off North Beach, and also out in 60 to 90 and 90 feet of water. In Martin County, you have the 6 and 8 mile reef and the Loran Tower Ledge. In Palm Beach County, there's scattered bottom and 60 feet of water on the south end that holds a lot of yellowtails, and then the reef line off Jupiter that runs in 75 to 110 feet of water. And you can drift along with a current to cover a lot of bottom, or you can anchor up and fish one area and chum with either ground chum or glass minnows to draw the fish to the boat. Target all three snapper species with live or dead bait. Spanish sardines, cigar minnows, and pilchards. Those are the favorite offerings, although ballyhoo plugs and finger mullet work really well in my region. You can also use a Williamson speed jig, mostly for the bigger snapper like the muttons and some of the larger mangroves. And lastly, I want to mention that the mangrove snapper come in the inlets in July and August. So a Spanish sardine thrown up against the rocks or inlet jetties on the slack tide, that'll get you a limit of fish in about 30 minutes. Average mangrove snapper, 1 to 3 pounds. Average mutton snapper, 3 to 8 pounds. Average yellowtail snapper is 1 to 2 pounds. Now, the other bite we got going, the June cobia run is kicking into gear. Fish to 50 pounds are showing up on the reefs and the wrecks, as well as around the bull sharks, the manta rays, and the turtles. The cold water that we had last week, that blows the fish up to the surface and pushes them in closer to shore. Starting to warm up, starting to look a little bit better out there. The summer run of cobia produces a lot of small fish, so make sure your fish meets a 33-inch minimum fork limit. You'll find cobia free swimming along the beaches or on the backs of the big stingrays on the beaches, but the majority of fish are going to be structure-oriented, and that means wrecks out, in anywhere from 20 to 100 feet of water. The Sand Pile off Stewart, the Halsey wreck off the power plant, and the Gulf Pride off Jupiter. Those are classic summertime cobia haunts, and cobia really like that color chartreuse, so you want to have at least one rod rigged up with a 1-ounce chartreuse hookup jig or a chartreuse dye dapper, so you have something ready to throw a fish that you encounter either when you're running or when you first pull up on that reef or wreck. And they're pretty much garbage cans when it comes to food. So live crabs, redfins, sardines, pilchards, pinfish, those are all real good baits. Even a whole dead squid works in a pinch. Average cobia in my region, 10 to 30 pounds. I got a photo of a fish that we caught yesterday. That's Will Rice of Asheville, North Carolina. He caught that cobia off a manta ray. That fish was on the beach north of St. Lucie Inlet, and it ate a live crab, and it was right on the borderline of being legal. We just released it and let it go for another day.
All right, Mike, what else you got going on there?
Well, that cold, dirty water on the beach is really hampered the tarpon bite, but it hasn't hurt the snook fishing, particularly in the shallows where that sun heats the water up quickly. That means places like Snook Island and Lake Worth and all the flats in that area have a lot of fish on them right now, as do the Sailfish Point Flats in Stewart, the North Bridge and J.C. Park Flats in Fort Pierce. You'll also find a lot of snook around the inlets. They're running the shorelines right now where that water is warmer. Most of those are smaller male fish. You can start your day throwing topwater plugs or swim baits like a Bass Assassin 3.5-inch dye dapper in that Panhandle Moon or that new Waterboy color. That's a really sweet color right now. Throw those lures up in shallows, work them back along the drop-off or crawl them down the seawalls at first light. Midday, switch to threadfins, pilchards, pinfish, even a live sand perch, free-lined on 40-pound fluorocarbon leader, 4.0 VMC circle hook. Average snook right now, 4 to 10 pounds. Fish over 20 pounds are being caught pretty much on a daily basis. The other bite we got going, the first of the summer flounder have moved inshore, and they're around the bridges in Stewart and Fort Pierce, and they're holding beneath those juvenile baitfish schools near the bridge pilings in close to shore. So places like the Little Jim Bridge, the pier around the Little Jim Bridge, North and South Bridge, and the Spur Jetty, all in Fort Pierce. Those are all producing some really nice flounder right now for the guys that are bouncing the bottom with live shrimp and jig, a shrimp and jig combination, or a live finger mullet on a jig, or a white Bass Assassin 1/4-ounce curly tail jig. In Stewart, it's the 25-cent bridge and Mosquito bridges on both the Stewart and the Jensen Beach causeways. Those are producing flounder about 6 pounds. Live mullet are way to go with a 3/8-ounce hookup jig. Just crawl it along the bottom. Make sure you bring a net so you can get them back up on the bridge. Average flounder in Fort Pierce is 1 to 5 pounds right now.
All right, Mike, we always got to do the bass report, and you're our bass guy, so give it to me.
Well, you know what? I can't get away from Lake Okeechobee. It just continues to produce big numbers of fish and big fish. The best reports right now are coming from the south end of the lake, from Belglade all the way to Clewiston. The outside grass lines of Pelican Bay and also around Ritta Island, those are producing fish on logger toads crawl through the grass. In that green moon or the June bug, blue belly, colored dye dappers are working as well. Live shiners are producing the big fish. Most of those are coming from the deeper water near the island in Pelican Bay. If it's numbers you're looking for, the north side of the Clewiston Channel, wherever you can find moving water that's full of school fish, they'll eat tapa worms, Brigsenko style, or lipless crankbaits pulled right through those cuts in the vegetation. Get out on the water early before those storm builds. Watch for schooling fish busting shad at first light. Catch a bunch of bass and be off the water before noon right now, guys.
All right, great report, Mike. I'm going to go ahead and get to the Bennett Auto Supply hotspots from the East region. Captain Mike says spotted sea trout inshore around the Spoil Islands and the Indian River from the North Bridge to Harbor Branch. Throw 3.5-inch water boy or Panhandle Moon colored dye dappers on the outgoing tide. Woo! And then offshore, dolphin in 200 to 1,000 feet of water. Pull the ballyhoos with green, pink, or blue and white skirted shirts to cover the water. Look for rips and edges and also weed lines. And you know what? We also have Harold Bennett live and in color here in the studio over at the Jägermeister workbench. And Harold, you know what? Bennett Auto Supply has a lot of stuff that we can use in the marine industry, so let's talk a little bit about some of the products you brought.
All right, Rick. We start off with a battery here. We have batteries for everything you can imagine, but this particular battery is a marine battery. And the one great thing about this battery is it's got a little green eye in there.
So
and you look at the green eye and you know you got plenty of charge, you crank your boat up and away you go.
Just like when I got green eyes, we have plenty of charge, right, Harold?
That's right.
So we got batteries for motorcycles, for scooters, for boats, for cars, everything at Bennett Auto Supply.
Absolutely.
Harold, the other thing that comes to mind, sometimes, you know, I notice my gas mileage, whether it's in my car or even in my boat, goes down, usually because it's between services. What about spark plugs? Is there something special I need to know?
Oh, absolutely. We have NGK spark plugs here. They're probably the largest supplier of spark plugs in the world, and they've got a plug for everything. Motorcycles, like you said, especially marine, and you know, I think you said Yamaha, it's original equipment.
It's the original spark plug and the recommended spark plug for Yamaha outboards. Harold, the one thing that I hear all the time is people think that they go to an auto parts store, they can't get marine grease, or is there such a thing as a marine grease for your wheel bearings?
No, grease is grease, and that grease there is great. And the great thing about that grease too, because you don't use it all at one time, it lasts a long time, so after you use it, it's not going to go bad on you just sitting in the garage.
All right, Harold, you know what, we got the contest coming up, and let's talk a little bit about that. At Bennett Auto Supply, the one thing that you could do is you could go in and register to potentially win a trip with me, guys. And also, we're going to be able to be 2 days in the La Jolla Inn plus a fishing trip. The second place person could potentially win a trip with one of our regional captains. But we also got some special appearance stuff.
Absolutely. We're excited about that.
Well, I appreciate you having me. I got to tell you, we're going to be at Bennett Auto Supply in Titusville with Captain Jim Ross on June 20th, 4 to 7 p.m. And then we're going to go over to across the state to your people over on the West Coast, Cape Coral, Bennett Auto Supply, June 27th, 4 to 7. And the Midnight Rider is going to be there, Harold. And you know, the big thing that I got to always emphasize, if you got to have any questions, they can go to bennettauto.com. But the most important thing is what? At Bennett Auto Supply, best parts,
best prices, Bennett Auto Supply.
Harold, thank you for all your support and what you do for us. And Lauren, we need you to support the fact that the train's about to come off the track. Help
I'll put it right back on track, guys. You said that like a pro. You must have practiced that a couple of times, yeah?
He's done.
All right. You guys, Jeff Hageman's waiting for us. He's in the Yeti Northwest region. Jeff, let's talk snapper.
We've got them. Mangrove snapper, we've got inshore and offshore. You can target them anywhere from docks to high relief structures offshore. Light tackle is a key. Snapper got real good eyesight, so fluorocarbon leader is a must. Start with 30 and work your way down. Hookup jig is also a great thing to have in your arsenal. Keep them in a bunch of sizes depending on current, anywhere from 1/4 ounce to 3 ounce. Shrimp, sardines, they'll eat very readily, so have those on your boat, drift those back in the tide. Also, yellowtail snapper, we've got them, and we've got big ones, but you're going to have to make a run to get them. 120 feet of water is the best place to start looking. You want to look on high relief structures. Our fish are a little bigger than the fish down the Keys. They're usually 2 to 3 pounds, and an occasional 5-pounder. So we got a lot of big fish. We don't have those smaller fish, but we've got some big ones, and we've also got the muttons out there too. They're usually in 130 feet of water or more. So we've got all of those out there. All the same snapper tricks will work. Come them up to the back of the boat and just trip those baits back as freely as possible. If you're using a hookup jig, just send it back and open the bail and let it fall back. That's the best trick to get them to bite.
All right, what else you got for us offshore, Jeff?
Yeah, grouper. We've got a ton of them right now in my region, throughout the full region. Most of the bigger fish right now are going to be found in anywhere from 90 to 140 feet of water, but some big fish can be caught in anywhere from 20 to 60 still. Our water temperature is still not where it's right now for this time of year, so there's still some fish in pretty shallow. You want to start off with cut baits, get the fish fired up. I say this a lot. Start off with those cut baits first, cut sardines, cut squid, drop them down first, get the fish really fired up. When the bite starts to slow down a little bit, then send those big live baits down. But a lot of good fish right now. Most of the fish are averaging in the 20 to 60 foot range right now. legal to just above, and then there's some big fish caught in that 90 to 140 I was talking about. A lot of caberas out there too, and some good carbos along with those gags. Snook fishing right now in the lower third part of our region has been producing some great fish, up to 15 to 20 pounds. Outgoing tide's been better than the incoming right now. You want to fish around the passes, bridges, docks, and jetties. You want to free line them or a light weight on them. Pinfish and grunts, croakers have been your best baits right now. And you want to drift those out on the tide. Just follow that either in your boat. If you're in a boat, just drift that with the tide, pitch them up to the shoreline, and fish those structures and follow your bait out. If you're on shore, throw your bait out and walk down the shoreline. That's a very effective way to catch them right now, and there's a lot of fish right now. Most of the fish are getting ready to spawn, so they're all moving to the passes right now. Also inshore, Captain Jordan Todd of Saltwater Obsession out of St. Joe reports St. Vincent Sound and Indian Pass is producing some good triple tail right now. Even though the winds have been a little high, the crab pots and other structure have been producing some good fish. They're a little spooky right now because there's a lot of guys fishing for them, but just be a little patient once you find one. Live shrimp under a cork has been a great way to do it, or just a jig under a cork a little bit deeper with a little piece of shrimp on it has also been working well. And I've got a photo right there of a nice triple tail. Most of the fish right now are averaging anywhere from 14 to 18 inches, and there's some bigger ones out there too.
All right, thanks, Jeff. We're going to go ahead and look at the Drummond Community Bank hotspots from the Northwest region. Captain Jeff says, inshore, snook bite around the beaches and the passes on the outgoing tide. Use live hand-sized pinfish drifted in the tide. And then offshore, grouper in 90 to 140 feet of water throughout the region on the ledges and the rock piles. Cut sardines and pinfish on the standard bottom rig.
Okay, coming up, we're going to talk to Captain Jeff Page out of the Central West and check out some new products when Dave reclaims his Jägermeister workbench. Stick around, guys.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by CCA, the voice of recreational anglers for over 25 years. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Hookup Lures, premium lures for serious anglers. La Jolla Resort, a place for family and fishermen. And Maverick Boat Company, makers of premium brand boats. Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Hi, I'm Harold Bennett. My dad started Bennett Auto Supply over 57 years ago. Things have changed since then. We've grown to 33 stores and opened a 93,000 square foot distribution center. But one thing has stayed the same. Our focus on the customer. That's why we have the most knowledgeable parts specialists in the business, and we only offer quality auto parts at the guaranteed lowest prices. The next time you need anything for your vehicle, think Bennett Auto Supply. Best parts, best prices, Bennett Auto Supply.
Want the power of a V8 with the highway fuel economy of a V6? Yes, sir. 40,000 more warranty miles than an F-150 work for you?
Sure does.
And you get 2 years of scheduled maintenance. Nice.
Copy that.
Sold.
Chevy Silverado. Right now, get 0% APR financing for 60 months, plus Chevy truck owners can trade up for an additional $2,500 total cash allowance, or Chevy truck owners can choose cash allowance and trade up to get a total value of $8,500.
Well, Jägermeister Workbench, now you get to talk about the toys that make boys go crazy.
We got all kinds of little gadgets today.
Yes, sir.
This one is one that you found from Tightline. This is called a hitchhiker jig. Tightline tackle. I guess what take this one apart from the rest of them is that little catcher on there for plastic baits.
This guy, Jimmy Mayhew, has been a friend of mine and a friend of the family for 1,000 years. And, you know, when he showed me this jig, I went, oh man, that's pretty cool.
That is
sparkly. But let me show you how it works, Dave, and this is kind of how he sold it to me, was he took a soft plastic, and the problem with soft plastics is they tear,
Right.
you know, ladyfish, trout,
Right.
whatever. But the way this hitchhiker works is you screw on the bait. So if you're using a Trigger X or another scented type of plastic, what ends up happening here is now the bait is on there and it doesn't come off. Look,
Yeah, that's a beautiful
no
thing.
tear, look.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And it comes in all different shapes and sizes and whatnot, all color patterns.
That's it. So that's a new product by Tightline Jigs.
Tightline Jigs at AOL.com. That's the Hitchhiker.
Hitchhiker.
Right.
All right. There you go.
This is a product that I could have really used the other day. I was in a boat that was actually going down. And yeah,
Was this down in Africa?
No, it wasn't in Africa. We had to take off and get away because what happened was I had turned a live well on that was filling up the bilge and the bilge pump wasn't working.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, so it got to be a little dicey. But this is the Thirsty Mate.
The Thirsty Mate.
From Bexon Products. Bexon makes a whole bunch of cool stuff, but this is one of their ones. It assembles in easily in a second. It's just a little handheld bilge pump, and you can really move some water with that thing when you have to. And it's surprising how fast you can get that thing going when you think you're sinking too. You can really get some steam going because you're thinking, hey, I don't want to go down. I'd rather stay up on top. And the Thirsty Mate from Bexon will help you do that. They also make a lot of little like knife holders and stuff like that for your big things for your binoculars with stainless steel. You just attach them right to the boat. They make all kinds of soft plastic stuff for your boat.
I wonder if they make cup holders for my new
They will.
Pathfinder.
They actually will.
Guys, call me.
Over here we got some Marlin mud flaps. Now these guys have been making big ones of these for teasers for Marlin for years, but now they're making little tiny ones, and their guys are putting these on their dredges now. Instead of putting a whole bunch of mullets on their dredge, they're loading up with these 13-inch mud flaps, Marlin mud flaps. And
it smells like a tire.
They do smell like a tire. Good thing that fish don't care. They pile on these things. We were using one this big in Australia with just a big lure head on it as a plain teaser off the bridge teaser. And out of the 10 marlin we caught, 5 of them came up and tried to eat that ugly thing.
No kidding?
Yeah, just piling on it, piling on it, piling on it. The mud flap, Marlin mud flaps.
I like it.
MarlinMudFlaps.com. All right, the last thing, this just came out of nowhere. It's very fortuitous because it's all kinds of snapper chum and stuff. This comes from Aquatic Nutrition Inc. And what they do is their main job is to make fish food for the ornamental industry and fish farms and stuff. Well, they started making this chum and all these different kinds of chums. They have Chum Drop, which uses a chum ball mix. It makes a gel and makes a ball that goes all the way to bottom. They got the Bloodstream for giant, for sharks. It's got a blood base in it. And this is a yellowtail snapper chum, which got sand and stuff in it and makes it go all the way to the bottom. And then they also have the Chum Cloud, which is the milk, the Manhattan milk. And all this stuff it's perfect for any, they're loaded, all the pictures on them. Snapper, snapper, snapper. This is a big hog snapper, super shrimp. Really good stuff to go out. And they all have their own little chum bags inside there. You open this up, there's a liquid part and a dry part, and you mix them together and it has a chum bag in there already. So those things are really
This would be good
really
gift,
good.
Mama, for Father's Day.
Yes, it certainly would.
And speaking of a father, we have the Central West captain waiting in the wings. He's a daddy,
Is he really?
Yes, of course.
I'm surprised.
And that daddy is Captain Jeff Page in the Central West. It seems that snapper can be totally different in your region depending on where and when you're looking. What can you tell us?
Well, first of all, the mutton snapper in my Starbright Central West region is an incidental catch, you guys. And usually if we do get them, it occurs in 200 feet of water on out over wrecks and springs. But it's not anything that guys kind of get excited about targeting. Now, on the other hand, the yellowtail, we catch over wrecks and springs in 120 to 160 feet of water, and a lot of the guys will get them up by chumming the fish up and then using straight 12 to 20 pound mono, no leader, no hardware, small light wire hooks, and that's how they'll catch the yellowtails. They're not as big as y'all down south, down in your region, Rick, and down the south part, but they're decent. And now the mang is another story. He's a year-round resident in my region, caught regularly in as close to 30 feet of water and on out to 200 plus
over wrecks, ledges, artificial reefs, etc. This time of year, the anglers are scoring real well on them, fishing the same areas as they do for the red groupers. The only difference is they might want to scale down their tackle, you know, leader size, hook size, and bait size. But a lot of the mangs will average, you know, 6 to 8 pounds. Some get up in that 10 to 12 pound range, like we were catching with Captain Chris Seeger last season. Anyway, staying offshore, staying in the snapper family, species 2, red snapper, nice American red snapper. The season's open till I think like the 23rd or 24th. They're coming in throughout the entire region, and the depth has been real consistent to the south and to the north. It's been 140 to 160 feet over the same hard bottom as you're getting your red groupers and your mangs. Cut sardines work real well, and I have a photo tonight of an 11-year-old who was with his dad, with Captain Jason Sherrill, aboard Bad Habit, with a real nice red snapper. His name is Jazz Jones of Mayaca City.
All right, let's go inshore, Jeffrey.
Inshore, speckled trout, good trout bite throughout the entire Central West region, but the hot spots have been the deeper, cleaner grass flats near the inlet. For example, the bulkhead flats near the mouth of the Manatee River, which is just inside southern Tampa Bay, or the flats just north or south of Stump Pass on the west side of Lemon Bay. The number one key, Rick, has been finding the terns and the seagulls working on glass minnows, pilchards, or small hatch fry bait. Then you want to do is you want to set up your drift. That Miralure Mirodine's hard to beat in the silver and chartreuse pattern, and the fish are averaging 16 to 22 inches. Species 2, redfish. Nice redfish holding around the mangrove islands and oyster bars in North Gasparilla Sound and also in Palmasola Bay. Guys are throwing chunk ladyfish or live pilchards at the higher stages of the tides up against the mangroves and up on top of the bars. And then when the tide drops out, they're throwing saltwater assassins, little tappers, rigged weedless, and they're fishing them around the deeper grass flat drop-offs and the cuts and potholes. And the redfish have been averaging 22 to 26 inches. I've got a photo tonight. We just had the 5th annual Sarasota Spot Tournament where all the proceeds go to help the Gator Wilderness Boys Home. And this is the winner with 11 spot fish, which was also, by the way, almost 26 inches. His name's Jamie Stevens.
All right, good job, Jeffrey. We're going to go ahead and look at the Startron hotspots from the Central West region. Inshore, tarpon, poons are back in regular formation now that the Gulf is cleaned up. Throw free line crabs, cork thread fins, or pinfish, slow trolled to the slow rolling groups of fish along the beach in the entire region. And then offshore, mangrove snappers, nice mangs being caught right along with the red groupers in 120 to 140 feet of water on the hard bottom. Cut sardines or live pins are gonna work pretty good there, Lauren.
Okay, everyone stay with us. When we return, we're gonna head to the Panhandle and to the Northeast. There's much more to come on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.